different interactions. So how do you manage, I mean, in your experience, how do you manage the change? Because, I mean, when you have a product, I mean, most of you probably just are building today the first application, but afterward, I mean, you need to deal with that and just integrate new versions, new features. So how does it relate in reality? How do you manage that? Maybe do you have some examples on your side, Prashant or Stefan?
Sure. Recently I worked with a small company in London called Refresh Mobile. They launched a product called Midman, which was a mobile content aggregator, so newsreader for your phone. And basically what we did is we kind of adopted kind of a hybrid agile process. So we had 3-week development cycles, and which was good. That really worked well for our team. We had a really small team. And what we did is, what we found is that new ideas and features kind of came from everywhere, both from when we were pitching to people, when we had our end users asking us for stuff, and ideas that we came up with. So to manage that, we just actually created a list. We put every single new idea into this giant list. But then for each of our releases, we also had a theme. And we said, okay, right now we're at the stage of our business where it's about acquiring users. So anything that we do needs to meet that goal. So then we look at the list, we update it, and say, okay, which of these things that we can do will actually help us get more users. So we then prioritized features that were about acquiring users. But we knew that at some stage we'd be on the, we have enough users, we have a great growth curve. And the next thing we realized, okay, now we have to switch to retaining users. So what features do we do that will help us retain users? And so if you can prioritize, you need to prioritize a couple of different things. One, what your users are telling you, and then two, like what are your business objectives? And that keeps, those two things can keep you really focused.
I think what's important as well in the prioritization of roadmap is to keep consistency and to keep agreement across the team. I work within a company where everybody were owning the roadmap. So you're ending up with like, everybody's putting their name next to the feature. And you're ending up with a product release in March that contains everybody, from engineering to marketing to brand to partners. And this is not scalable. So you need to define very clearly who's going to own the roadmap moving forward. And if it's the CEO, fine, but that person needs to stick to that role. I think it's very important, otherwise you just...
Yeah, I mean, the role of the product manager in a lot of cases is to be that, is to own the roadmap, and you need to have someone in your team. If you're not going to have, if you can't afford to have a dedicated product manager, there's got to be someone in your team that's the product owner and has that accountability, and then, does the tiebreaker for the features when someone says, this needs to go to the next release.
It's getting more complex as well when you get new people on board. So probably when you need to grow the structures and integrate these new guys into the process. So maybe, Agent, you have some examples of startups. First, maybe two things about recruitment first. So how does it work as well? Is it a difficult market? And what about integration? And do you use as well outsourcing, or do you build parts where you really outsource and try to get a project done by people outside of the company?
Okay, just small remark at the beginning. It's really easy to develop a project when you just started and have a small team, when everybody knows everything, what we'll do and where to go, what to do. But when the team is scaling up, it's quite a problem, and you should really manage your team to everybody to know what to do in concrete time. And regarding the labor market in Ukraine, I'm sure that you know very good about it. So right now it's really overheated. It's a big problem to find a good person to develop, especially for startup, because everybody wants to earn money, to have a very high salary. But so the main reason right now in Ukraine that why all startups are started by a team of friends or classmates and so on. They just having one idea and they develop it. So regarding outsourcing, in Ukraine right now there is a big tendency to outsource to regions, from Kiev to regions. But my opinion is I have faced a lot of problems with it. The main problem is that they are good developers in regions, really good. They can do very high-end things, rocket technology now, but they are lacking experience in user-oriented software. For example, I've had a project that was going to develop really simple product, something similar with interface to Skype, for example, but aim to cast the video, to make a video stream, to make like home TV for everybody. You can just connect webcam or to stream all other videos that you have on your PC to everybody and to share. It was very simple, but the project failed because developers had problems with developing simple tools that should work on any PC, on any configuration, and so on. It was working quite fine on several PCs in the test lab, but if you just change the version of Windows or add some Service Pack 2 or Service Pack 1, it fails, and it was really a problem. And this is the main problem of all development teams in regions. They can develop really good enterprise solutions that will work on different PC configuration, on different environment, and so on. But they really not focused on consumer market. They use the software in really strange ways, on really strange configuration, and most probably they will fail. So if you are going to outsource in this way, you should control them as much as possible. Because as I can see, almost all startups here are oriented on the consumer markets, and this is a big problem, and I'm almost sure that you haven't thought about this. Software will not work on the majority of PC configurations.
Jim, you want to add?
Yes, I want to add something. It's quite a common mistake what you just described. It's a well-known fact that 80% of your features are done in 20% of time. You start, and amazingly quickly you surprise somebody with a demo that works, kind of. But then you need these several times longer, so several times more effort to bring that demo to a real finished product. You really need to plan for that. When you try to ship something to the real world, there are numerous issues that you are almost certainly have not anticipated. So plan ahead, release early, have your product better tested. Release to your friends who would give you feedback. Plan for that. Plan it from the beginning. Expect that your product will not work right in the first version.
In the past few years, we've seen more and more involvement of users in terms of product and trying to improve the product. So some are trying to get really a community, helping them to build. Seismic, for example, in the US is trying to get really everyday feedback from the users to the product. So it's raising as well the question of beta version when you have either private or public beta version. So how do you use, it's a question to everybody on the panel here, how do you use users in order to improve, and when and how?
So I think you've got to start talking to users as soon as possible. The reality is you as the creator of the service are a user, but you're at the center of this kind of what I think of concentric circles. There's you, and you're not only a developer, but you're also a user, but then there's friends and family, and then there's what I would call influencers and bloggers, some people are your product. So the important thing to do is realize that you as a focus group of 1 or 2 or 3 people isn't sufficient. It's a great place to start, but you need to start validating your stuff as early as possible. And I don't think, I think